Me, 41 female, stay-at-home mom. My finance-working husband, Paul, is 48. We've been married nearly 20 years. Eric, our 18-year-old son and high school senior, and Mary, our 15-year-old daughter, are our children, both bright in my life. Due to his work schedule and my poor aging since we met, my marriage has grown stale. Since high school freshman, our son Eric has dated 18-year-old Amy. Eric adores her. His first love, she's always been family to me. The whole situation hurts me emotionally. Last week, I accidentally saw my husband's phone screen and saw a text thread between him and Amy, our son's girlfriend. I read that she misses passionately hugging him. I was in disbelief. Most of the day, I convinced myself I misread what I saw. Over the last few days, I found a huge BDSM collection on my husband's computer, so I didn't misread it. His addiction is obvious. He also saved Amy's Instagram photos on his computer. They were appropriate. She was fully clothed, but they were the proof I needed to stop going crazy. I also watched more of their interactions on his phone when I could. Wish I hadn't looked. He constantly compared me to her and said mean things about me. His comments, including calling me fat and old, made Amy laugh. I've always suspected Paul of cheating, but never thought this would happen. I found underwear that wasn't mine in our bedroom last month. I ignored it, naively thinking it was our daughter's, even though it made no sense. Not only is he cheating on me, he's also betraying our son. I am devastated. Words cannot express my dread, anger, and shock. I'm overwhelmed by how to handle this because action needs to be taken. But I'm afraid of the psychological blow to my son. I have no idea how to approach him about this messed up topic. This situation would not please my worst enemy. I can't believe I married this jerk. My mind raced when I realized I started noticing his unusual behavior around the same time Amy turned 18. Was he waiting for her 18th birthday to have an affair? It's all so complicated and I'm paralyzed with fear and dread. Nothing makes sense. This happened how? Am I so stupid that I allowed this to happen under my watch? I'm afraid to tell Eric this sickening truth because he loves Amy. His young heart and mind may suffer. Eric and Mary are innocent bystanders and it breaks my heart. Because I'm afraid of the domino effect, I haven't told my husband. I don't know who to ask first. I share my story not for sympathy, but to gain understanding and advice from others who have faced deep betrayal. My kids and Amy's mom recently learned I'm divorcing my husband. My brother introduced me to a tough junkyard dog lawyer. I screenshotted all of his and Amy's conversations. Only the last 3 months were available from iCloud. The flirty, dirty talk was hard to stomach, sleazy, and I saw several negative things said about me. His call history showed he usually talks to her for hours using dating apps. I screenshotted his profiles and all match chats. It's obvious he filters for 18, 22-year-old girls. All his computer files were copied, he frequents chat rooms and forums and spends a lot of money on OnlyFans. I searched every house hiding spot I could find. He had toys, blindfolds, cuffs, lubricants, etc. He also had French maid and Catholic school uniform outfits. Eric, Mary, and I drove to my brother's after school. They knew something was wrong when I picked them up. I broke down crying after delicately explaining everything. Mary raged more than Eric. I informed Amy's mother in person. She took Amy's phone and gave me the chat log, which only went back 3 months like my husband's cloud, almost as if they deleted the messages simultaneously. She said Amy cried when confronted. Amy basically told her mother that she will never understand and that she and him are in love. It's easy to assume that my husband slowly and methodically became a sage-like figure in her life, making her feel she could rely on him and took advantage of her broken home. Amy maintains that their friendship only became romantic and physical recently, and that he was more of a friend and mentor. I confronted Paul over Zoom. He became red and sweaty, had anger and panic in his eyes, and shouted context over and over again, and that none of that happened. He was unable to speak without stutters and intensity. Nothing made sense to me. I refused to tell him where I was, and he said I had no right to take his kids away from him. Mary is still the most angry. She's furious with her dad and Amy, rightfully so. She's in knots about watching her dad interact with her friends. Eric is hurting but strong and level-headed. He wants to see a therapist. My kids' maturity makes me proud. They don't deserve this. We informed the authorities, and I plan to be completely unforgiving and ruthless in this divorce. I'm reflecting on how I've been treated and how it's made me a shell of myself and given me a very negative self-image for 20 years. I don't want to let this scumbag get away with it. I want to reinvent myself and move on stronger than ever. I've received many comments and messages accusing me of faking this story, which oddly comforts me because it feels unreal even to me. It validates my own feelings that there are people out there who can't even fathom this being true. I wish it was fake. I've been focusing on and worrying about how others are feeling over this, somewhat ignoring my own feelings. Paul has tried to call my cell phone several times a day. I'm refusing to talk to him, and I'll have my lawyer handle all correspondence. He scares me. My brother's house has an alarm system and deadbolt locks. Eric is scheduled to see a therapist early next week, which is good and needed. He's not himself right now. He seems shell-shocked, and I'm concerned. He internalizes a lot, and it's hard to get a read on what's going on in his head. My gut tells me that Paul is nervous, scared, and knows that if investigated thoroughly, he will be in big trouble. The Zoom call with him made me think that he was a man whose world was falling apart. His face showed panic. I offered Mary to make an appointment with a therapist as well, but she doesn't want to see one yet. She said she's open to it eventually, but wants time to herself. She's been asking her friends about her dad and if they experienced any creepiness from him. Her friends were open and honest with her, and apparently they felt like he stared a lot and sensed his hovering presence whenever they were over. One of Mary's friends went so far as to say that she felt like he was checking her out a lot, like looking at her rear and complimenting the color of her yoga pants. At the time, no issue was brought up about it, but in light of everything that has been happening, it seems strange now. He would sit himself in different areas or vantage points to get a good view of her, she claimed. He also asked questions about what kind of friend group or which clique they were in at school. He kept asking about if they were popular girls. I'm completely embarrassed that they had this experience at our house. As for updates on Amy, which is the main reason why I wanted to write this update, I completely agree that she is also a victim. A lot of people have been emphasizing that, and I agree. I've done everything I could in my own power to indirectly get her opportunities to get help. Like I said, I told her mother, and she's been updating me on everything. Amy, unfortunately, is still living in her deluded reality, and I can only pray that she'll eventually come to her senses. She doesn't want to see any doctors or therapists at all, and has been constantly trying to reach Paul because, again, she believes that they are in love. From what I've been told, she hasn't been able to get hold of him, and he's been avoiding communication with her completely. Amy blames me for that and believes I took away his devices and am very controlling. Any truth that her mother tries to convey to her is met with conspiracy theories and hostility. Amy looks at me as a villain and still sees Paul through rose-colored glasses. Her mother showed her screenshots of his dating app profiles and matches, and she refuses to believe it, saying I photoshopped it. According to her mom, Amy keeps saying things like, everyone is just mad because she found herself a real man, and that I'm jealous because she takes better care of him than I do. It's in line with some of the conversations I screenshot, where a lot of what Paul says is him complaining about things I don't do for him in bed. Right now, she's insistent that she and Paul will be together in the long run. He's honestly a slime ball. I hope Amy comes to her senses, but intervening doesn't seem productive right now. Maybe later. I got temporary custody of Mary. Paul has to pay temporary child support. There's a protective order. Paul can't contact us or come near us. Right now, we're just focusing on getting through this legal mess. Eric has been to therapy twice in the last 2 weeks. I know some people thought I was dismissive and acting like he's doing okay, but I know he's hurting internally, and we're doing everything we can to make sure he knows he's supported and loved. My brother has been amazing in spending time with Eric and Mary, and they've confided in him a lot. Eric and Amy went to the same junior high school and knew each other, but Amy went to an all-girls Catholic high school while Eric and Mary stayed in the public school system. We all lived in the same town, and over the summer, lots of people cared about Amy. I wish I had a better update on Amy, but it's gotten worse since the last update. Paul has been seeing Amy, despite her mother trying to stop her. She tells me that Amy says she's 18 and an adult, so she can do what she wants. Her mother is in a precarious position because if she kicks Amy out of the house for defying her, which she has threatened to do, which I think is a mistake, she would run to Paul permanently. Given what I know about Paul and what's to come, I believe things will turn around soon with Amy, but I can only pray that she can get help and guidance when more hell breaks loose. I'm doing everything I can with my kids and my mental health, and Amy's mom knows she has my support. I will keep you updated on the divorce and court situation. Until then, thank you all for listening to my story.
Oh my God. Stephanie was so drunk at the party last night that she lost one of her bra pads inside the punch bowl.